Morning. So overnight the keel has been setting in that epoxy and the fillets have been curing as well. So these are all nice and dry. So this morning what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure that this is all really smooth. So I'm going to take the plane and I'm just going to run this down the length of the keel and make sure it's all nice and level and flat. I did that a little bit yesterday before I put the fillets on to make sure that there were no differences in the offset. There was probably a millimetre gap, given that these were two separate keels glued on and screwed into two separate halves. So I think that was a good idea, bolting these together to get the keels set up, because if I'd done it separately, I probably wouldn't have been able to make sure they were completely aligned. Yeah, I just want to make sure that's all nice and smooth. Don't really want any high spots. So, you know, if that goes up onto a beach, it's going to take off the paint off the high spot. So I'm going to try and get it as smooth as I can with the plane before I put the epoxy coating on the keel. So that's going to be the first job. Second job is going to be getting the screws out, because I do want to backfill those holes. As I said yesterday, I don't want to leave the screws in, because if there is at any point a situation where the keel gets impacted, there's some kind of shock impact on the keel and it tears that off, I'd like it to break away free and clean and not have stainless steel screws that pull through the bottom of the hull. Because if that breaks off cleanly, it would probably leave the hull intact, or there's a chance it would leave the hull intact. If it doesn't break off cleanly and there are screws in there and it rips those screws through the bottom of the boat, it's going to create holes or worse. And then probably a bit of sanding. I'm going to probably sand that fillet, get it nice and smooth. And also I've got to work on the rudder. It needs another coat on the inside of the cheeks, and I'm going to drill that 90mm diameter hole. And then I'm going to use some thickened epoxy to fill those holes to create a bushing. So that's it really for today, and while that's all curing and drying, I'm going to go outside and work a little bit on the trailer, see if I can get the suspension working. Right, that's it. So better get going. Well, not really a lot of progress there. I have managed to smooth down the keel a little bit, which is good. But sanding the fillets, I can't really do anymore because that's the last bit of my sandpaper, so I need to go out and buy more. And drilling the holes in the rudder cheeks and blade for the bushing, couldn't do that either because the epoxy is not quite dry enough. So I'm just going to leave that because that was drying overnight, but it's only 17 degrees now in the room here. So it's probably a little bit too cool for the epoxy to fully cure quickly. Yeah, I'm going to go outside and work on the trailer for a bit, see if I can get the trailer sorted. And at lunchtime I'll go out and get more paper, and then this afternoon I can crack on with getting this sanded. Okay, so that's the end of this episode, and each episode corresponds to a visit, so that's the end of this visit. It's been 3 days, and I haven't spent all the time just working on the dinghy, but I have got the keel glued on and screwed into position and then filleted. I've sanded the fillet first sand, and I've also removed the screws, and I'm going to backfill the screw holes. Also, I've epoxied the rudder cheeks on the inside, 3 coats, and glued the filler piece inside the rudder as well. And I cut the notch in the tiller ready to fit on the rudder, so the rudder assembly is pretty well underway now. So, not related to the specific building of the boat, I've also gone outside and checked the sail reefs correctly on the laser. So I got that all rigged up, got the halyard in place, and that works quite well, lifting the halyard up. I had to do a little bit of work getting the Cunningham sorted out because I didn't know how to do that. And I've also figured out how to attach the 2 extra blocks to the base of the mast and put a cleat on there, although I haven't got the extra blocks yet. Those are going to be ordered soon. So I'm going to get an extra base plate which has got 2 hoops. I can put 2 extra blocks on there. One will be for the halyard, and the other one will be for the reefing line. So I'll better control the sail and reef and unreef all from the cockpit of the dinghy, which is what I want to be able to do. So currently I can sail it either with the reef in or with it out, but I can't change it around without removing and re-threading some of the lines, which is not really good enough. So I'm going to have to order some extra parts and get those put into position. And I'd like to take the laser out and give it a sail to make sure the rigging is all good before I start putting it onto this. I've also had a look at the trailer, took the suspension, took one of the wheels off and had a look at the suspension unit, and it's completely seized, so I've ordered a new pair of suspension units, and looking at the spec they should just bolt in place, and for an extra £20 I got the ones with the hubs already attached, so I should just better remove the wheels, put them on the new units, bolt the new units in place, good to go. And I've got some brand new bolts as well, so that they're all unrusty, new stainless steel bolts. So hopefully the trailer should be operable, and should better get the laser on it and take it for a sail and test the rig. So that's the kind of the next big project milestone. On the dinghy, the next thing to think about is the painting. So I spent this morning, part of this morning, just making sure the cradles are the right shape, because they weren't really cut very well the first off, because I cut them from the plans without the boat being there. And once I've finished the boat, it's a slightly different shape, so I've just trimmed and planed down the cradles till they're an exact fit, and I've marked up on the hull where they go, because I'd like to get the hull on the cradles before I do the painting, mainly so that I can get the waterline right, because I'd like to get a waterline on there, perhaps. Let's see. But at least I can get it on there, and that's a possibility now that the cradles are sorted, because it'll be at the right height, bow to stern, at least level, hopefully. Alright, so that's it for now. Hope you've enjoyed watching. Please subscribe, please leave a like, and click the bell so you get notifications when new videos come out. Okay, cheers.